Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Devil's Digest game preview as Arizona State gets set to host BYU in the final home game of the regular season. As always, my name is Justin Lesser-Tosta. That's publisher Hode Urbino. And Hode, coming into this game, both of these teams kind of have contrasting mindsets. Obviously, ASU comes off an emotional win against Kansas State. BYU coming off an emotional loss against Kansas, the first for the Cougars all season long. How do you think that sort of difference in mentality will sort of shape what happens in between those lines?
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations, Justin, where sure those mindsets are guiding you as a motivator going into this contest, but you also have to make sure you don't get caught up in it too much. If you're ASU, we heard players and coaches all week saying that they need to re-embrace that underdog mentality. For the first time this year, ASU is going to be a favorite against a ranked team, so that is uncharted waters. But maybe it's also a situation where you just put that aside and act as if you are an underdog coming into this game, because basically it comes down to if it's not broken, don't fix it. And I think when ASU has had that so-called chip on their shoulder, when they do play the underdog role, they actually have done very, very well. The 8-2 record is obviously a testament to that. And you have a BYU team that, like you said, lost their first game of the year. First time that adversity has really hit them. How do they respond to that? I mean, nobody in that locker room knows yet until the game's going to take place on Saturday. And I think also BYU, here's a team that's been above ASU in the Big 12 standings, not for weeks, for months. They must feel a little disrespected, say, oh, now because ASU is ranked and they're playing in Tempe, now suddenly they're a favorite over us. So I'm sure that they really got their own motivation, in that sense. I think that it's a game that really does have a lot of buzz to it. Obviously, ultimately, really comes down to what have you done for me lately, and that's what's really, I think, guiding the narrative coming into this game. That's why ASU is a favorite over BYU. ASU just has to make sure that at the end of the contest, what have you done for me lately is a question that they'll still answer with a smile on their face. The fans are going to show up, media is going to show up. The question is, are the Sun Devils going to show up? That's really that's going to determine quite a bit. Again, being in that unfamiliar favorite role over a ranked opponent.
Yeah, and this is the second week in a row ASU goes up against a pretty stingy defense. Last week, obviously, Kansas State, and now BYU, but there's some discrepancies within that pass defense and also the run game.
Yeah, the pass defense, second in the conference. Run defense is exactly smack middle of the pack, eighth. But ultimately, it's a defense also that gives up only 19.5 points. But also a defense that is 14th in red zone defense, 14th in sacks. So there's really kind of a lot of crazy stats, going on here. And it's a defense that we'll talk about in a second that really, I think, supports the offense quite a bit, because some of the numbers over there are not numbers you would expect from a 9-1 team. But I think if you're ASU, you just go back to the proven formula that if you have a defense that is susceptible to the run, and I'm sure there are worse defenses in the Big 12 than BYU when it comes to defending the run, but that's really the formula that you do have to continue with. It's not only Cam Scadaboo, it's not only quarterback Sam Levitt, but even if guys like Kyson Brown and DeCarlos Brooks each get 3, 4, 5 carries, really to make the most out of it, because at least on paper, I don't know if Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson in the passing game in general can really go off like they did last week against Kansas State, because this BYU pass defense, for the most part, has been very, very stingy, as you said, when it comes to defending that aspect of the offense. I also feel that this is a BYU offense, and we'll talk about that in a second, that's not exactly high-stepping into this game. So the way to make that offense feel more pressured and maybe be more prone to mistakes is really play that keep-away ball and really dominate the time of possession. And you do that, obviously, first and foremost, with a very stout running game. That's something that ASU worked to perfection last week against Kansas State. And I think if you're a BYU defensive coach, you're kind of worried that maybe ASU has the same plans in mind for you. Some excessive delay of games, substitutions with players just trotting off the field. So that's something that can definitely play into ASU's hands quite a bit. Again, you just really go to your bread and butter, which is running the ball and running the ball effectively. And if you can do that, you should come out on top.
Yeah, BYU averages just over 31 points per game, so a team that finds ways to get points up on the board, but as you kind of alluded to before, for a 9-1 team, some of these statistics, both in the pass game and also the run game, don't really reflect that record.
Yeah, you're right, Justin. I mean, not only this team only ranked ninth running the ball, ninth passing the ball, they're also 15th on third down. So a lot of weird numbers going on here for a 9-1 team. As I mentioned earlier, I think it's an offense that really is supported quite a bit by their defense. Maybe there's really no offensive unit in this Big 12 conference that is supported more by their defense than this BYU offense. But it's a team that really has struggled quite a bit. And I'll throw this stat at you. Since the second half of their game against UCF, which was back on October 26th, they have scored a total of 3 offensive touchdowns. So again, I mean, they might be happy that defensive special teams are doing the work for them, but this is an offense that really, for a good few weeks now, really has not been operating on all cylinders. The question is, like, what is ASU more intent of stopping? I still think they really need to stop the run for BYU. And as great as a story that quarterback Jack Retzlaff has been through not one but two junior colleges, ends up at BYU, not having incredibly great numbers, but when you're quarterback of a 9-1 team, I mean the spotlight is going to shine on you, and he's definitely somebody that has turned in one of the better seasons among signal callers in the conference. And honestly, even his passing numbers are a little bit better than Sam Levitt, even though Sam Levitt has been exceptional for the last couple of weeks. But I think if you're ASU defense, you're still comfortable putting the onus on Jack Retzlaff to beat you, because he is at the same time prone to mistakes. And again, I think if the ASU offense really can dominate the time of possession, now you got a struggling BYU offense that may be in more of a hurry-up mode that they want to be, really trying to get a lot of points on the board and get them fast, and that can definitely lead to mistakes. So again, if you're ASU, I think you just really commit a lot of people to the box and take a chance with the passing game, because I think that even though BYU only lost one game this year, that is when teams, if not beat them, were able to at least keep matters really close with the Cougars.
Kenny Dillingham's talked about all season activating the Valley, creating a college football environment. On Monday, 10 minutes into the tickets dropping, a 1,000 student queue to even get in line to get these tickets. There hasn't been buzz around a game like this in Tempe since 2014. Do you think that sort of helps out the Sun Devils, and how do you think they can sort of quiet out the noise when they need to?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Embracing that buzz, because you know where you were last year, let alone in years before that, but also making sure that it does not operate against you. That's really going to be key. I think that when you look at a BYU offense who scored in the last 2 games 13 and 22 points, they're not really exactly coming in with any momentum, and they're facing an ASU defense who I feel is playing very, very well as of late. But you look at the ASU offense again. You're not facing a very dominating run defense by any means. If you can just run that ball early and often, as like I said, keep that time of possession not only in your favor but way in your favor. That can really help a lot. I think if there's any underdog element to this is, look, I heard all kinds of reports of BYU bringing 15,000 fans, 20,000 fans. I'm not buying into that, okay? But let's say if you're thinking they're going to bring just half of that, let's say 7,500 or 5,000, that's going to be one of the largest away crowds we've seen in Tempe in a long, long time, maybe ever. So if you want ASU to harken back into that underdog mentality, well, I think there's going to be a semi-hostile environment for this ASU offense. So maybe that's when the underdog mentality can kick in. And again, that's a mentality that has served the Sun Devils very, very well so far in the 2024 season. So, I'm not saying that's like the key to the game, but I do think there are definitely some aspects that are going to be in ASU's favor. I'm picking Arizona State to win 24-20.
Well, thank you, Hode, for all your insight. A huge game at Mountain America Stadium here on Saturday as ASU gets set to host BYU. To stay tuned on all the coverage, go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter at DevilsDigest. As always, my name is Justin Lester Tosta. That's publisher Hode Urbino. We'll talk to you guys on Saturday.